Well, Patrick Langmaid runs Mother's Ivy. It says here Bat Holiday Park, but I'm sure it's Bay. My producer's written that he put a B in a T instead of a Y. Never mind. So Mother Ivy's Bay Holiday Park in North Cornwall. Sorry about that. You haven't really bats where you are, have you?
No, we have. Well, I don't think we have, but
we never know. If you do have bats, look out! The council will close it all down. They're protected animals. You must be in limbo at the moment, Patrick.
We are completely in limbo, Lawrence. Absolute nightmare at the moment. I heard Cheryl talking before me about hoping everyone can open on the 4th of July. If we're going to open on the 4th of July, we need to know now.
Yes.
It's no use telling us on the 3rd of July that we can open on the 4th. We've got staffing to sort out. We've got procedures to put in place. We can start putting the procedures in place. But before I put procedures in place, I need to know whether I'm catering for 2 metre social distancing or 1 metre social distancing. Absolute nightmare. I mean, it's a complete nonsense.
How long would it take you then to if they told you a week before the 4th of July, Independence Day, how long would it take you? I mean, would that be long enough a week? How long do you need?
Well, a week at a push. For me, bearing in mind I don't have a restaurant or a clubhouse to gear up, and my staffing is relatively simple. So for me, a week, but I would welcome more than that. I mean, I'm deciding today which staff to take off furlough for next week. And if I knew that I was opening on the 4th, I'd be taking more of them off furlough than I'm going to. My manager, before he left, said to me, "Oh, get them all off furlough. We need to be ready for the 4th." And I said, "Absolutely not. We until we know it's the 4th, we can't start taking everybody off and incurring that cost."
We spoke to you a few weeks ago about people camping in unauthorised areas and leaving some pretty unpleasant things in the laybys and dunes. One hopes that
They're still doing it.
They're still doing it.
They're still doing it. And I've tweeted pictures taken at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning as we've been turning up for work and showing people in laybys. They could be just doing a very long day visit and they've got there a few minutes before me, but I rather suspect they've been overnighting. The police have dropped by a couple of times to deal with it, but really the police are completely stretched, and I think the rules are unworkable and there are a huge number of anomalies in the rules at the moment. If I could just give you 2 of them that relate to my holiday park, Lawrence. The first is van sales. I'm allowed to sell you a caravan. You're allowed to come and visit and view them, but I'm not allowed to let my private owners onto the park, not even for day visits, not even to check their caravans. So I can sell you a caravan, but I can't let you on the park to look at the caravan you already own. Utter nonsense. And of course, then there's the whole issue around day visits. The government, in its wisdom, says day visits are acceptable from any distance. That's fine, but you're not allowed to make a day visit to your caravan on a caravan park. However, if you've got a boat on a marina, you are allowed to make a day visit to that. Well, where's the consistency or logic in that?
I was going to say, why isn't there any sort of consistency in it? It seems daft in my mind. I'm not an expert, but what's the difference between a boat and a caravan?
There's one floats, I guess, but in the context of COVID, there's no difference, Lawrence. And I think I don't want to be too critical of the government. They really are having to think on their feet as the whole situation unfolds. But we really are at a point now where, in hospitality, if we don't get the 4th of July, we're going to be crucified. And
let me ask you this question. If you can't start trading from the 4th of July, will you and I be talking this time next year?
Oh, well, yeah, I will. I've got resilience in my business, Lawrence.
Others won't be so fortunate.
No, others won't be. And there's already an enormous amount of... a friend of mine's given up her hairdressing that she's been doing for 50 years, her and her mum before her.
I read, yes, in St Mirren, yeah.
And that is so, Padstow St Mirren, that's right, Claire. And it's so, sad, and it's real people, small businesses, and she's not going to be the only one that's happening to. Now, I'm looking at my business, and I've got tenting. Well, I've actually got rid of my tenting for 2020 because I understand that it's very difficult. Although tenting is outdoors and COVID transmission outdoors it's about as safe as it gets. For me, I've looked at my toilet blocks, and with 2 metre social distancing, I simply could not cope with the capacity for tenting.
Right.
And consequently, I've got rid of them all. At a stroke, cost me about 150 grand. And I've also today taken the decision that I won't open my touring at all until at least the end of July. And the reason I'm taking that decision is I have to be able to plan. I have to be able to get staff lined up. I have to be able to work out my safety procedures. So at best, if we are given the 4th of July, at best I will be at 40% capacity. And in absolute terms, that means I'll have no more than 1,000 people on my park. And in a good year, I'll have in excess of 2,500. So I appreciate if you are one of the people who's got a pitchfork and wants to keep visitors out of Cornwall. 1,000 is 1,000 too many. But actually, I'm looking at Newquay with its 50% unemployment. And for me, it's not either or. We've got to have health and economy, not health or economy. We need both. We need to be sensible. Both sides need to meet somewhere. And for me, I've decided that I'm reducing the capacity of my business to about 40%. But if I don't get that, there will be redundancies in my business. My business won't sink, but there will be redundancies. And I really want to avoid that. I care about my team, and I don't want the redundancies. So can I talk about the private owners on my park?
Please do. I've got to go to another hotelier in just a moment. But
okay.
Tell me about the private owners.
Very, very quickly, my private owners, they are effectively second homeowners. There are no greater risks to them being in their caravan holiday home than there are if they're in their home from home at home. And actually, you could say there are less risks. So it's a net zero sum in terms of the risk of transmission across the whole of the UK. And really, we've got to open to private owners. It is a complete nonsense that we aren't able to open to private owners. And I would appeal to any other park owners out there who are like me, who've got them on their private owners on their park, these privately owned caravans. Please get in touch with me, because we actually need to form a rebel alliance to actually start challenging the government about them stopping us from having private owners back on the park.
Patrick, can you keep me updated? I really feel your pain. Just keep me updated whenever you get a chance. Will you do that?
Thank you, Lawrence. I will. Thank you.
Yeah, and have a good weekend.